Okay, hello. Welcome to a recording of a tour of the Stampscapes gallery. I guess it's not a complete tour here, but I thought I would go into a couple different areas here and show you some different types of applications than you might be familiar with in terms of the usage of Stampscape stamps. Now, I've gone into this a little bit in the past, but I didn't go into it in depth. I just kind of give a general tour of the website. But in the on the home page, you can access the gallery section of the website either up here or right down here in the thumbnail links. Okay, I'll click on the thumbnail link right there, and it takes us to the Stampscapes gallery. In the Stampscapes gallery, you'll find a lot of different people in here. Okay, there were a lot of different people that submitted scenes for the Stampscapes website, especially pre-internet days and before your individual gallery types of websites were out there. Flickr, Picture Trail, Facebook, all the social media types of places. So being able to get your pieces, say, so-called published, was really fun for people, and being able to see your work online, especially. Being able to see your work in print was especially nice if you got it into the pages of, you know, the Rubber Stamper, Stamper Sampler, National Stamper Graphic going way back, and those different types of publications. But if you used Stampscape stamps back then, and if you wanted your piece up, all you'd do is you'd either send me a hard copy of it pre kind of digital photography, and before a lot of people were doing their own scanning, they might send me pieces, or they might just send an order and they've done a scene or two, or they've done their envelopes in utilizing Stampscapes imagery. I'd often save that, or I would save it all the time. And when the internet came around in around 96, we created one of the first websites for rubber stamping, or a rubber stamping themed website or company website. And I think we were the second rubber stamp company out there, okay, on the internet. Leavenworth Jackson was the only other one that was kind of coming up at that time. So that's going way back. And I thank my webmaster, Scott, at the time, who was kind of wanted to learn HTML, and he posted the pages of our catalog at that time as kind of the first incarnation of the Stampscapes website. Okay, but anyways, going back to the gallery here, we have past ads, my own samples up here are the Nakagawa samples. But, okay, one of the things that's really fun for me is to not only use my own stamps in, different types of scenes here, but it's also to utilize stamps with other company images, and that's where we have the miscellaneous fusion gallery in terms of fusing Stampscape stamps with other companies' designs, okay? So let's go into the miscellaneous fusion gallery 1 here, okay? And there's all these different little thumbnail links here. They're not only just for one scene, and they might be for one scene, but some of them have multiple scenes on them, like the Spheres of Desire here. And I did this little sequential piece. Doing sequential pieces is fun for me. It's kind of like putting a little bit of a book together. So you'll find different images. I think a lot of these images are from 100 Proof Press, one of my favorite companies out there in terms of the types of curated designs. They're mostly 19th and 20th century engravings, and engravings of a really high detail match really well with Stampscape stamps. And just in terms of the tonal quality of them, they contain a lot of light and shadow within the designs. There's not a lot of lines in them, although I guess you can say, engravings are all lines. Yes, that's true, but when viewed from any type of distance at all, it looks more tonal and looks more grayscale. Okay, but let's take a look at the Spheres of Desire here. There's some pretty rough looking text here, but that was back in like the 90s, you know, in terms of some of the text we were able to utilize. It looks pretty rough in terms of the pixelation. But remember, back then, people were doing dial-up, so we wanted to keep the files fairly small at that at that time. It would take a while for these images to come up on that, I don't know, 14.4 speed or whatever people were on at the time. Then 28.8 came around far before broadband. So anyways, this is some dialogue down here. This friend of mine wrote the dialogue. I did the imagery for it. This is a really fun piece here for me, and something I need to do more often. Right here, this is the thumbnail that we used for this one, but this is a blow-up right here of another stamp design that I have, and I just blew it up big. I probably had to blow it up a couple times, and then I cut it out with an X-Acto blade all in between these ribs and things like that. But this heart here, this general premise is that this is death, and he comes back to the world. You know, you might have heard the movie called Meet Joe Black. This is pre-Meet Joe Black, but death comes to the world and falls in love with, you know, some entity. But this is something I need to do more often right here. I need to do just writing. I love the look of just some handwriting across a scene like that, just in terms of a decorative element, and I don't know, I really like the look. And that was using a Sakura white paint pen at the time, which is very translucent, so that this lettering shows a lot of the colors from the background showing through it. And that's really similar to a lot of the pens these days, like the acrylic paint pen, the water-based ones, are a lot more translucent than they are opaque. Okay, gel pens would work for that too. But anyways, I had a really fun time doing this piece right here. And here's the dancing skeleton, which I've used many times. Many different companies have it, but sequential aesthetics has you going from something like a climactic piece to a smaller piece. So it's like intro, climax, and conclusion right here. Just three pieces right here, and a little poem right there. And then we talk about the different imagery from that was used. I guess this one was Leavenworth Jackson right there. Oh, okay, both of these two little characters in there were Leavenworth Jackson. Oh, True Heart, Good Stamps, Dramatic Bones by Stamp Happy. Okay, so not 100 Proof Press. I thought they were. Skeleton was by Gumbo Graphics. Okay, a lot of these companies used the same imagery though, because a lot of it was copyright-free imagery. Okay, these are the hands of, let's see, what do we call it? Just hands of, I forgot what we called this one, hands of something. Okay, but anyways, I like a lot of bugs right here. I collected them. I liked watching old, I grew up watching like nature documentaries and stuff like that with my dad. He watched a lot of PBS, and I don't know, I just love kind of the bug world, you know, ant documentaries and things like that. So this is the one that's kind of on science right here, little tweezers right here. I don't know, I picked that up from, I think, Stampa Barbara, I believe it was. But this is all Stampscape stamps in the background. There's the cloud cumulus, and there's the bare branch, and the leaf sprig here, kind of showing this growth here. And I've measured things out with these different spheres here. It's almost like math or something like that. And then here's this writing across here, and here's this decorative type of dot pattern in the background. I don't know, sometimes when I look at these pieces these days, it's like, how did I kind of come up with that? Because from a mathematical standpoint, I used to measure certain things out based on, I don't know, like rule of thirds or something like that. And I don't know, just putting all these little pieces together with like this was really fun. There's this hand like that, like palm reading or something like that. That was kind of interesting. And then here's this spookier piece. I happen to have three hands as all the things, so I put together this triptych. It wasn't really a triptych, it was more a sequential piece, you know, that, you know, where you're meant to look at things one after another. It could be a triptych, though, where it's kind of displayed as one piece. I think I still have the pieces for this, but I'm not really quite sure. And there's the pieces right there. A lot of Leavenworth Jackson again. So, I don't know. Leavenworth Jackson, you know, it's good stuff. It's a really fantastic grouping of kind of curated imagery from them. So I really like their work. Leavenworth Jackson was my sister's favorite company by far. So we would come back from a convention. She would have bought several different images, and I'd be, you know, we would spend a lot of time wood mounting them at the time. People weren't using things like unmounted rubber back then, so people were buying unmounted rubber and then doing their own mounting at home. And Leavenworth Jackson basically sold unmounted stamps back in the day. I think to get their stuff up in places like Stamp Arbor, though, they would have to mount some. So anyways, yeah, you know, I used a lot of cloud cumulus in here. That was one of those common images that I used in here just as a visual tie between three different pieces here in the background. So you create this kind of visual continuity running through a series of images if you're kind of doing something, you know, it's kind of like a needle and thread. And, you know, with commonality. So you can base it based on composition, color schemes, theme, you know, anything like that. And you know, the more kind of continuity that you have running through a series of images, the tighter it will be from a thematic standpoint. And again, it could just be a theme, a visual theme that's running in the background that's almost kind of more subconscious than, you know, apparent. Okay, so let's take a look at some other pieces right here. There's the cloud cumulus again, both the small version and the large version. But a lot of, you know, prominent themes in here. The kind of the design patterns brought into play with the white paint pens text at the time. Let's see, I don't think I have a date on this one. This one's a Curtis Ueda design. Some of my favorite stuff of his were those, I forgot what it was. He did a lot of Asian themed stuff, but then there was a lot of, I don't know what the imagery was from, Sri Lanka or something like that. I don't remember. Or Hindu, I think it was. But those were some of my favorite designs. He didn't have too many of them, but I loved all of them. This is another one of his. I really like this composition right here. I did these ones, I think, before, I think, the Spheres of Desire. I can't remember. But mystical discipline here. So I just like tying all this type of thing together with these geometric elements in there. I think it looks really cool. Okay, it's the Stamper's Sampler project. I think I might have gone through this one, but this one was one project where they had me just stamping out a bunch of designs. I don't think they gave me a number that I had to do, but this was featured in the 1996 issue. I think I've shown this before, but I was using a lot of other companies' designs, and here you go with the angels like that. No other imagery in there. But anyways, I got to use some of my favorite images. I think a lot of these designs are my sister's. I probably had them at the time. It's like, oh, I'm going to throw them into this project right now. But I just, in working this scene, or this project right here, I really learned a lot about just, I don't know, I was always stamping scenes, but from a thematic standpoint, just kind of working some of these other pieces into the compositions really kind of expanded my kind of idea on the usage of Stampscape stamps back then, and just how, you know, throwing in these other elements like this, you know, instead of a standard moon, you throw in a moon with a face, and it completely changes the kind of the I don't know, the character of a scene like that. Okay, and I don't know, little squirrel jumping over the moon type of thing, you know. Okay. Back then, you know, doing the same type of stuff. I think all of this is on glossy cardstock. Everyone used glossy cardstock back then. People always say, oh, do you do all your work these days, they'll ask me, do you do all your work these days? If they see a couple of the early videos of mine, it's on glossy cardstock, or they say, or do you use regular cardstock sometimes? What they're talking about are matte cardstock. But back then, okay, in the 90s and 80s especially, most people, I think, were stamping on glossy cardstock just because the impact it gave to all of the different colors that you were using at the time. And there weren't a lot of accessories back in this time period, so, you know, everyone pretty much used glossy cardstock in addition to matte, but they were also stamping envelopes too. But if you weren't using glossy cardstock at the time, you were missing, like, I don't know, 25% of the accessories that you had available to you back then. Back then it was stamps, paper, which would be matte and glossy, and then you had your pens, your markers, you know, your La Plumes, Tombows, Marvy 1500 series pens. There weren't a lot of other things that you were utilizing back then, except like found objects or something like that. Like this little stone character like that. I think that was from, yeah, that was from the Edward Gorey set. So I had that Edward Gorey set going back quite a ways, I guess. And that was one of my favorite stamps back then. And so I'd always have them crawling over kind of an envelope when I sent out things, not Stampscapes scenes, but, you know, stuff to my family. But look at the Stampscape stamps right here, the leafless limbs large and leafless limbs small, used in the corners of the marble floor, which is available on the one of the Greco-Roman sets right there. But I was using my oval templates right here that I have, you know, plastic templates, and my compass, you know, used up here. So doing all those little things was really fun. But look at this marble staircase right here with that snail up there. I love those. I love using snails in my scenes. I need to do that more often, but those are snails. Now, that might have been Leavenworth Jackson. Oh, it says right here. Snail by Gumbo Graphics. Okay. But that was always one of my favorite pieces right here. Grouch with Moon. I remember buying this guy at Stampa Barbara. Yeah, and it was Yes, Pigs Can Fly. I went into Stampa Barbara, and Stampa Barbara had stamps basically from every company out there. The largest stamp store that ever existed in terms of the amount of just rubber stamps. Okay, there were, like I said, there weren't a lot of accessories out there, so it was really based on your wood-mounted stamps. And I'd walk in there, and a couple times I wouldn't walk out with a huge number of stamps, but for some reason I always picked out that Yes, Pigs Can Fly, and they didn't have a very large catalog at all, but for some reason their imagery always kind of caught my eye. And I'm surprised that Stampa Barbara had it, because they were kind of obscure kind of, you know, types of designs that, I don't know, I wouldn't think a lot of people would have a lot of interest in, but I certainly did. I love this character right here from Onion Arts. I call it Body Electric. I didn't know what it was called, but I might have picked that up at a convention sometimes. I'm not quite sure. But Onion Arts, I think, was a, you know, an offshoot of Imagine Air Designs, I believe. And I used this character in a lot of my designs, or my personal stampings before. But this is the Milky Way used in the background. But look at this celestial map. And I put a lot of time into these scenes here, because it was going in that project for 100 Proof Press. I mean, not 100 Press, I'm here. Stamper Sampler, I meant. So I know it was going to be published, so I really wanted to make this, you know, an interesting type of use of designs. Okay, so here's the leafless limbs again, flanking the Cloud Cumulus Large and the Cloud with Lightning, but instead of using the lightning upside down, kind of like a lightning strike coming down, I had it coming up from this little character right here. So this is two different designs right here. The totem was by Ken Brown Stamps. I gotta check enough, see if I have that one, or if that was one of my sisters, but I don't know if I have that image. I need to check again, because this is probably the last time I've used it. So I have a couple Ken Brown stamps, and they're really fantastic. Every time I use them, people say, hey, where's that from? And I have to say, hey, you know, it's one of those things. If if you like a stamp, you probably should get it, because, stamp companies, they're not like some of these companies are. Okay, Night Train right here, Gumbo Graphics. I gave that train away to someone years ago that really liked it. And unfortunately, Gumbo Graphics wasn't around after that, and I didn't repurchase it. But someone wanted to get the link for this train scene that I did, and I don't know, it gave me the idea I should go through these galleries here, to check out some stuff that people haven't seen. But standard, Stampscape scene right here. But look at this sun right here. I mean, that really changes the whole kind of spirit of the piece when you have some kind of celestial image with a face on it, instead of like your standard sun. But here's an image right here, and looks like I used my tonal applicator rays stamp coming out from here, because I can see a little bit of texture of the rays going in the background like that. But yeah, fun stuff. Pyramid. Again, Leavenworth Jackson. It's like a Leavenworth Jackson commercial right here. I think they're still in business. I get confused sometimes because I checked out their website, and I don't know. I've directed people over there in the past, so I don't know. Okay, now look at this. These days I would use my pens to kind of deepen the shadows underneath here, but there's my little character right here from Edward Gorey, from the Kids Stamps Edward Gorey set. I should have bought many of those. I bought that one at like a Barnes & Noble or something. I remember Barnes & Noble and Borders, they'd have their kind of the discount books out front, and on tables they'd have different things. Well, one time they had a bunch of stamp sets. I thought, there's an Edward Gorey one, so I purchased that set, and I mounted mine onto wood because it was one of those cheap breakaway foam sets like that. But look at this little character down here. Doesn't he change kind of the spirit completely? You take that little character away and it's a completely different scene. It's just nature, which is fun and everything like that. Or you can put a little sailboat out there, but you put that little character down there and it really kind of really grabs someone's attention like that. But there's the thumb grid there again. So that was my Stamper Sampler project, one of the early Stamper Sampler publications back in the day, so 1996. And Colleen, the owner and editor for all the Stampington, right? Stampington and Company right here. All of those magazines that they put out. Colleen used to come over to the Huntington Beach Stamp Club, which was one of the biggest stamp clubs around. I'm guessing at the time, one time we had 50 people in there. And she would ask for submissions, because she was putting together her first, I think Stamper Sampler was her first magazine out there. And so a lot of those real early issues were Huntington Beach Stamp Club stuff. So one time there was a holiday project, and 3 of us from the club just got together on one weekend, and we just cranked out some cards, and that was featured in one of the magazines. And those pieces that we came up with just on that afternoon one weekend really became influential in terms of some of the pieces that were done, because you'd see people kind of replicating and kind of doing their own versions of some of those cards that we did on that weekend in the ensuing, I don't know, you'd see it, kind of the trail of it afterwards, and some of the following magazines after that. It was really fun. Oh, here's another place that I've used the train. So this is a triptych here. So here's 3 pieces right here. Gumbo Graphics, Leavenworth Jackson, Onion Arts right here. Using a lot of the same images that I used in the other piece. A lot of the same types of themes right there. So it's really fun for me to use those types of things in there. I still like doing it. Here's another piece right here. It's kind of a dirty kind of scan here, but I know that one, the color scheme is kind of different. Another triptych piece right here, again using a lot of the I don't know if you'd call it typography, but just the handwriting behind there. This was the first piece that I did. I was like, oh my God, how did I get that color scheme? And then I tried to get the color scheme again here, and I kind of did, but this one right here, I remember trying to get that color scheme down here. I didn't really achieve it very well. I don't know. It's one of those things, you know, when you do that level of kind of mixing of colors, and you don't have a formula for it, you're just kind of winging it. Sometimes it's hard to get that same thing that you're going after again. Okay, but here's, and still am in this bio swap, but this is going back to 2003, one of my first scenes like that. And again, there's my bugs right there. And I think I call this, yeah, La Vida Azul, the blue life, right? Here's a little snail down here. But I really like this piece right here and just the general color scheme. I did another piece, I don't know, not too long ago, I think this last year, that has a real similar color scheme, and it looks like I used a dark brown. It would have been the number 18 Marvy dark brown for that background. I should use that one again, but I'm not even sure what I used in terms of the color scheme down here. I think it's mostly blues, but I think I added in what would have been pale green, I think, which I don't even have a pad for anymore because my pad disintegrated before I got another blank pad from Marvy. Before they stopped selling it recently, I just didn't repurchase it again, so here's a jelly birth. So here's what this, see, I have a bunch of mushrooms from 100 Proof Press right here. And doesn't this jellyfish kind of look like a mushroom too? So I have it kind of going up in the air like that, and here's kind of this eyeball theme going on in the background. But that's Starbirth and Cloud Cumulus and Seaside Cove, which I've just used recently in another video. Now this one right here was for, yeah, the bio swap, I think I was for that. Yeah, it was the bio swap. So again, this piece right here became really influential because I got it published in Rubber Stamp Madness right here. So I was using my alcohol ink markers at the time, and there were no Copics at the time, so it was Studio 2 alcohol markers that I've used on there, and I was like, oh my gosh, these things work really well on here. And then I was really starting to utilize white pigment ink in my scenes a lot more those days, so I was really able to get the lighting down just how I wanted it. But looks like I did a full kind of instructional thing down here. But this is one of my favorite pieces, kind of historically, that I did, and I learned a lot from it. So I've always, you know, I mentioned recently in one of my live streams that if you have something like a bug crawling on something, you know, you go down to kind of like a worm's eye view of your scene. It kind of makes you kind of like lying down on the ground looking out at the scene like that, or as if we were the size of, you know, a bug or something like that. So it gives a different perspective to the piece, and having these kind of larger mushrooms like that really gives kind of a, again, it's kind of a little bit more of a whimsical type of look to the piece. Okay, Illumination series right here, more bio swaps right here, but I did these pieces on stamp board. Okay, so actually it wasn't called stamp board, it's called Clayboard Smooth, and these ones were I'm trying to think of the size. I think they were 5x7, I think, pieces. But if you look closely on here, you'll see these scratches back into it, because on Clayboard, it's like scratchboard, so you're able to go back into these pieces, and with scratch tools like these right here, you're able to go back in and apply colors down, tones or whatever, and then you're able to go back in and scratch out whatever types of texturing you want in there with scratch tools, sandpaper, whatever. And these were 3 pieces using images from other companies right down here. You know, this little praying guy, the eyeball up there. Here's a bridge from 100 Proof Press. Let's see. Yeah, this is 100 proof press in here. So I was starting to get a lot more 100 proof press stuff at the time from the previous owners. But look at this one right here. This one's cracked earth down here. But look at how great this little book and this character look in conjunction with Stampscapes imagery right here. But I love all these little scratches that I was able to put back into the piece. I need to do more of that stamp board types where I haven't done a live stream of that yet, but I should. 100 proof press here again. Like I said, I was really getting into 100 proof press at the time, but the owner there liked a lot of my stuff too. So I think at one of those conventions, I just said, hey, you know, I think I went over to their booth and I had a handful of there, and the owner just said, hey, Kevin, trade. So it was like, oh, that's fine with me. Yeah, let's do so. So, you know, they liked a lot of my stuff. They liked a lot of my sky imagery because, you know, the sky imagery works really fantastic with a lot of their designs in here. So, yeah, so the cloud with moon large in the background, the crooked limb down here, sedge filler right in this area. But yeah, I don't know. I think this one, I was thinking it was like grave robbers or something like that. All right, Sphinx here, Rubber Poet. Does anyone know the name of Rubber Poet? But look at this. Oh, look at this one right here. That right here, see this crooked limb down here, stamped in black on top of scratch board, you know, or clay board. But then I use that crooked limb right here, but I stamped it in white ink on top of this, and then these circles are done with a compass and a white gel pen at the time. I think white gel pen. I don't think it was white paint pen. When it came to 2003, I started using gel pens, I believe. Okay, but you know, all these little lines in there, and I have a compass that has the universal adapter, so you can put any kind of pen you want in there. But yeah, Rubber Poet right there. Hands of Levitation right there. There's my Onion Arts design right here. Here's the Rocky Peaks in the distance right there with sedge filler again. Here's the boulders with lichen down here. Again, little circles and stuff like this. I love using circles. Oh, there's cloud with sun in the background. 3 times. 1, 2, 3 right there. And I remember people really loved this piece. And someone did a version of this in the swap that totally cracked me up. I think they put hands in here, or they might have put cats. So it was like cats that were down there, and I think there was a cat floating in the air. I think they might have called it paws of levitation. I loved it. It was a total crack up when I saw that. Okay, Secrets of the Stone. This is one of my favorite pieces right here that I've done. But these stones right here, I altered the looks of them, but these stones right here, I actually scanned in different rocks that I had collected over time. And so a lot of it was very, very, I don't know, whatever, personal, I guess, you know, so... here's a piece right here, but we're talking about sequential aesthetics. We're talking about something very small at first. And here's Stampscapes imagery used in the background. There's Seaside Cove, Cloud Cumulus, and then check out this Easter Island type of thing like this. I always wanted to do this on higher res, but we couldn't find the pieces. I couldn't remember where they went. But look at this right here, Cloud Cumulus and Crooked Limb up here, grass texture, cracked earth. Here's pieces of the ledge right here, and I cut these out. This is a trim piece like this, and then it's like these guys are digging down to this eyeball down here. But there's the crooked limb down here. It could be roots or something like that. Back with the cloud up here, so you have cloud up there and cloud down there. And there's this little guy right up there. I really love him. All Stampscape stamps up here. The Milky Way is in the background up here, but it's also reflected in the water down below, and I always like doing that type of thing. Oh, here's we were talking about frogs jumping in a previous live stream video once, but or recently, but here he is right here. And the kind of the sculptural types of things. I have some my own sets of Greco-Roman designs where you put together things, but I, using these types of images like this with Stampscape stamps is really really works out well. Old runes and stuff like that work really well with nature designs, right? And see, there's all these little elements of this little stone here, but look at this little area in here. All these concentric circles going like this, So we talk about two areas of light, light source, and reflected light down here. I like this little woman down here, and there's my writing across in the background. And here's that Hans guy again in the distance, but here's Seaside Cove right down here. I like the look of that. Right, there's the sun wavy rays right up there, used with the cloud cumulus in the distance like that. I need to do that again. That cloud with sun and those, sun wavy rays and the cloud cumulus really look good together like that. Huh. Oh, there's the sun wavy rays here again. So the previous scene represented that guy, and then this is supposed to be what he looks like close up, from the beginning. But here's these different things in here, lines and math, and everything gets distorted. And there he is again down there, kind of sorcery. A little hand up there. I love hands. I'm kind of a kinesthetic person. I love texture. So even when it comes to visual things, I'm still kind of locked in on texture. But again, here's this kind of this, it's not ruins or something like that, but there's some imagery. That's one image down there, and there's another one up there. But cloud cumulus, and there's my leafless limbs, tree on both sides like that. Here's another piece like that. The marble floor, snail, leafless limbs. Leafless limbs used to be my favorite design. But look at this right here, these triangles like that. I didn't plan everything out that way, but sometimes when I do these things, I'll look at the relationship, So here's this line that's inherent in this design like that goes up that way. I'll just kind of plan it like that, and I came across this way. I always like this fly one. This is all Greco-Roman designs from Stampscapes, and then there's the cloud cumulus again in the distance. I need to use these Greco-Roman designs more often. Where's all the time? Oh, there's the lightning stamp used two different ways like that, going this way and then going this way. I love this angel from Marks of Distinction right here. And look how dark this piece is right here. And I'm not sure. Yeah, on this piece right here, this little character, he should be centered, but I don't know, HTML these days, but those little eyes in there are blinking. I'm not sure how Scott did the blinking light, but look at this little fly here. Right here in this. Oh, and there's look at this right here around that eyeball right there. I don't think I can ever get this color scheme again. I have no idea what colors those are. I should be able to tell, but one of the things is probably magenta, because I was using all marvings. It shouldn't be too hard to tell. But there's the sun wavy rays used both ways to completely flank this circular object like that. So again, it's a little bit of visual continuity going from the background to the foreground like this. And in here I always have this cool light and warm light going through all of these different pieces right here. There's the warm light up there. I'm not sure. The cool light down here maybe. Here's my little pyramidal type of form. Writing again. There's the mind and the heart. Okay, so warm light, cool light, warm light, cool light. the warm light is in the heart of the character right here. A cool light up there. So it's like, and finish. Okay, so here's all the different imagery down there. There's this little creature right here again, from one of my bio swaps. Always love that little guy. But look at the feel that they get. I should do my Creature of the Black Lagoon coming out of this same type. I don't think I've used the flooded forest type thing with these trees in a while. Maybe I should do that again. I would probably be using more of my swamp pieces these days, but I didn't have them back in 2004 here. Solitude in Blue. Look at this little guy up here. So he's sitting up here high on his perch, you know, at whatever, 20,000 feet or something like that. Or something like that where you go up and see the guru. So I have my smaller rocky peaks down below here. And my cloud cumulus stamped upright and upside down there. I need to do that again. There's certain things that I was doing back then that I haven't done in a long time. Or some ways I was much more inventive maybe back then. I don't know. But anyways, that's Fusion Gallery 1. Here's Fusion Gallery 2. Let me just go through this really fast. Bio Spooky Swap. I say by Nivik Awagaken, which is Kevin Nakagawa, spelled backwards. People say, wait, what is that? So I have to point that out to them these days. Star Maker, similar types of themes going on like this. I really like this piece in terms of the color scheme. I used a little bit of some warm tinge in here. I think it was the one of the seashell ink pads at the time. Nowadays I would use, because Seashells is discontinued, which became Adirondack Lights. That's gone. So you would use something like a distress ink, like an antique linen or something like that, for that little tinge of warmth within your grayscale scenes. So there's that little hand down there again. So just utilizing my stamps again out of my personal collection for these pieces. And there's those houses again. People love those houses from 100 Proof Press, like that. There's my lightning stamp again. I think I used it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times like that. So people don't usually do that, but here's this swirl of clouds like that, Another piece, kind of an updated version of that Stamper Sampler piece. This would have been, I don't know, like 10 years later or something like that, though. So utilizing a few more images. I like my twisting leaves down here in this piece. I need to use those more often like this. So I'm getting some design ideas from my own pieces, like from, I don't know, like when I was young. Ophelia. So this is the way my instructions used to be, pre-video capabilities. But here's the pond right here. Used a couple different times. We're building in like this with the trees, and then this is a design by 100 Proof Press, okay. And then like Ophelia, that story here, this lady is, but I have her kind of reclining, it's like she's in the water like that, so getting a little bit darker. I forgot about these kind of instructional pieces, and then I had some decorative paper, so I used that to kind of frame off the piece like so, which I normally don't do, but I did it back then on that one. And I learned something with those, that kind of warmer tinge of grayscale, so I did another piece right here. This is my drawing from a Stamp the Hand company that's now in the Greco-Roman sets, and there's a couple of my columns in here. And this one right here, everyone wanted that design. Not everyone, but I don't know, I had a lot of people asking about that, but that was from the Moon Rose rubber stamps, and I think they were still around or something like that, so people inquired about that image from them, and it's like, sorry, it's discontinued. But I said, well, if they still have the plate, it wouldn't be hard to, press a piece of rubber from that. But, I don't know, they didn't want to. I think these pieces right here might have been in Rubber Stamp Madness, but I'm not sure. Okay, so you see this piece right here. These are 8.5 by 11 pieces, stuff that I just normally don't do. But I did it right here. So blue, red, and green. So there's my blue piece, okay? Tons of leaf sprig. I don't know, I must have stamped that leaf sprig in here 100 times. So I stamped it both in black and then in white too, because it just, you know, didn't show up in the darker areas. So let's see my red piece. So again, kind of those big mushrooms right there. And look at the gigantic mushrooms, I guess, because here's people kind of in a frame of reference right there. And again, this twirling type of cloud cumulus thing going on in the background. There's my Ophelia character up here. And let's take a look at the green piece right here. Again, those kind of bugs kind of go, you know, that Vita Azul piece. And this olive branch right here was from a Stamp in the Hand company. Yeah, it's a little bit of a different look. Again, you know, when I was doing some of these pieces, I think it might have been a Rubber Stamp Madness. I think oh, and here's some of those light beams in here. Again, the Tonal Applicator Rays stamp. I don't know, I'm looking at all these different pieces, and I should do more of these pieces right here. Okay, so my October Bio Swap piece, you know, for Halloween, I had this little baby skeleton, but I called it I just called it Chillin'. So it's supposed to be, and it's not supposed to be super dark. Here's my little guy right here at night. He's just kind of kicking back. I should have put like a bottle of soda here or something like that, like he's you know, just kicking back. Or I should put some headphones on him, like he's listening to some music. This one is on, I think I did this one on Stamp Board Notes Glossy Cardstock. Okay, so instead of moon up here, I used my solar eclipse piece, and that gave that sky kind of an extra little touch right there. It looks more like a solar eclipse. Well, it's called solar eclipse, but I don't know. I guess it looks like maybe a lunar eclipse in this kind of situation right here. But there's my little Ken Brown Creature of the Black Lagoon piece like that. Here's my Curtis Ueda piece, just all grayscale. Look at all this crooked limb coming out of here. I was using crooked limb a lot. This is one of my favorite pieces that I've ever done right here. It's kind of a lot of things came together with this piece. Here's my bugs, and in the corners here I cut out copper or gold metallic paper. Here's that same character that had the blinking eyes and that Secrets of the Stone. Here's my little levitation guy again, but here's all these relationships in here. So this circle goes down here, and it goes right to the base of those little hikers down here. And then everything kind of measured out in a certain way. So there were a lot of things that weren't by mistake in here, and I really took the time to kind of do the math on this piece. And I think this is like rule of thirds here, that's a third. From here to here is the third, and from here to here is the third. So everything was really broken down, kind of, I don't know, whatever, mathematically, I guess you could say. Gondola here from, Stampland. Yeah, love their stuff, Stampland. Stampland used to be the owners of Stamp Francisco, so I bought this piece from them at a convention, I think. I put the snail down here, crawling along in the water too, I guess. But this one right here is a big piece. It's 8.5 by 11. And I think I picked up this space shuttle maybe at Viva Las Vegas Stamps. It's kind of funny how I remember where I bought these stamps from. But, you know, I grew up in Lompoc, and at one point in time, Vandenberg Air Force Base was going to be the West Coast space shuttle port, and then that's, you know, space shuttle blew up in Florida, scrubbed project for Vandenberg Air Force Base. It was going to be the West Coast shuttle thing, never happened. Probably, I don't know how many millions, you know, I don't think billions went into it at the time, but anyways, I mean, this is kind of something close to home. My mom was working on the Martin Marietta, and they were working on the space shuttle project at the time. So this is in 2004. I don't remember when, what was it? Space Shuttle Discovery, was it? I can't remember which one it was, that original one that blew up. Not the one that was coming back in, to land, but the one that blew up on takeoff. But anyways, this is using cloud cumulus right down here for all of that, that fuel burn off right there. So star cluster, star birth on the side, cloud cumulus, used as background stamps in there. So there you have it there. There are the fusion galleries in there. It took a long time doing this right here, but I don't know, it was kind of fun for me to go back and take a look at some of these pieces and take a look at some of the other types of imagery that I was using with my designs. But I think that Stampscapes designs can create really dramatic and very expressive types of pieces in terms of kind of utilizing them just as scene creators in themselves, but using them with other companies' designs. I think that Stampscapes, personally, biasly or whatever, I think they can make other stamps from other companies look really good in terms of putting them into a kind of a setting which kind of really can kind of bring the attention to, the different imagery that has been used in them. So it can really kind of play a subservient role from a visual standpoint, but really put these other types of imagery right in the spotlight, so to speak, in terms of creating a dramatic setting that can not only kind of enhance them, but really showcase them in a different type of way. So a lot of times you wouldn't think about that in terms of, oh, wait a minute, I wouldn't use a tree with, a hand with tweezers here, but here's this bare branch in here with the leaf sprig, creating a branch in here in the background, So there's all kinds of different things you can do. Here's cracked earth right here. Would you think about using cracked earth when you think about using a, pocket watch? Probably not, but, kind of expansion of the, in terms of the themes or whatever that, that you can create with these pieces right here. And it really creates kind of a fun type of situation in terms of marrying maybe imagery that you wouldn't normally think to kind of maybe at first thought or something like that. But, when you think about it and kind of utilize kind of a, a different type of perspective, it kind of opens up, some different possibilities, including flying jellyfish right here coming out of a mushroom garden. So anyways, okay, so that is it. Hope you enjoyed the little tour. Thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed it.